Lue Elizondo says, that's who the F I am. Lue Elizondo responds yesterday with a report, or a letter rather, from the late Harry Reid confirming who he said or where he said that he worked, right? There's been a lot of reports and people who have said that that's actually not true. That's he's making that stuff up. He's a plant. He's this, he's that. Now, does that necessarily, does a letter here prove that he's not an agent for disinformation or whatever other people say? Not necessarily. Do I think that that is the case? Not really. But there are a lot of people who do believe that about Lue. I tend to believe what he says and who he says he is. And he posts this thing out. And this is what this is from Harry Reid, and this is the letter. But he starts it with, just leaving this here for anyone that still has doubt who I am. And he says, this is from Harry Reid. This is from April 26th, 2021. To whom it may concern. As the United States Majority Leader, I worked with Republican Senator Ted Stevens of Alaska and Democratic Senator Dan Inouye of Hawaii to secure $22 million of funding for what would become known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ATIP, an unclassified but unpublicized investigatory effort dedicated to studying unidentified aerial phenomena. As one of the original sponsors of ATIP, I can state as a matter of record Lue Elizondo's involvement and leadership role in this program. Mr. Elizondo is a former intelligence officer who has spent his career working tirelessly in the shadows on sensitive national security matters involving investigating UAPs. As the head of ATIP, he performed these duties admirably. Sincerely, Harry Reid. Now, I don't know if this has been dropped before. If not, I don't understand why you didn't drop it right away. But he dropped it now. And Harry Reid, who has famously been part of this, and what people don't understand is if Harry Reid doesn't admit essentially what he admitted in this letter here to the New York Times, the movement doesn't really happen. Because they went to Harry Reid thinking because they had caught wind of this program, and like, he's not going to admit to us that this is a thing that he's involved in, and he did. And because of that, they were able to have some weight to put it in the New York Times. That's why it was such a big deal, because the New York Times covering this thing and bringing to light a lot of these, the program, the footage, all that and more. Now, I think that Lue's just getting tired of people kind of questioning his credentials, right? And it happens all of the time. And I think most recently, once again, not for the first time, Stephen Greer kind of calling into play what he did. There's been other naysayers and kind of skeptics who continuously go after him some of them go after him for different reasons. Some of them go after him to say that he wasn't part of this program and it was never a thing. Now, does that necessarily silence those people? No, because those people could say, how do we know you didn't type this up yourself? How do you know you didn't just make this up? And the internet's an easy tool to put together this and forge a signature and all that. Now, do I think that is what he did? No. But do I think people could say that? Sure. But I think that it's one of these things, again, where the frustration comes of, imagine, no matter what, now let's say that whatever you think about Lue Elizondo, imagine that you have something that you have been working on, you have been doing, you did for a bit, you had the courage to speak up about it, you wanted to become a big voice to bring the light to something, and there are people who just do not believe your intentions, they do not believe what you did, they don't believe a lot of different things. It make you feel pretty terrible, right? Now, the other side of that is, if it comes down to, because there are tons of people who say that Lue how put off other people it's Chris Mellon, are essentially doing things for misdirection. There are people who say the opposite, that Lue Elizondo is as big of a force in this as David Grush was. And there was a post the other day, and they asked like the four people, I think this was from one Republican, it wasn't Shed, who was it? I can't remember. But they posted out and they said something along the lines, they asked Grok or something, who the four out of the four people who were the most trustworthy, it was in the UFO community. And the four names were Lue Elizondo, Stephen Greer, Jake Barber, David Grush were the four names. And I did this afterwards, and you can do it too. And it just pops up the same thing. But it ranked the following. David Grush was number 1. Elizondo was number 2. Jake Barber was number 3. And Stephen Greer was the 4 out of the 4 of them as far as trusted. What does that mean? It's an AI program. It doesn't mean jack shit. But it's just interesting that that was what came up there through the data and all these other things and a reason why. And essentially what they do is it's credentials, right? And the credentials of Grush and the credentials of Lue Elizondo. Jake Barber's new on the scene, and Stephen Greer has credentials, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But he's been in this topic for so long and a conversation for so long that there's been so many people on both sides. Look, there's as many Stephen Greer pros as many as there are cons, too. But he's going after Lue. Lue's defended himself, and it's the same old thing I said before. It's like you would love to see some kind of treaty or truce between these people if they are all on board to do the same thing. But I don't know. What do you make of this? What do you think about the letter? And do you think it was unnecessary? You think it was just do your thing? Don't worry about proving yourself to people? What say you? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Thanks for being a part of this channel. You can be a member. I always tell people you can be a member if you want to support, or you can get yourself something special. Public Rec is a great thing to get. I'll tell you about them right now, and I'll see you back here real soon.